Hi, my name's Laura and I'm about to enter the last year of my 20s. Now, that's not particularly old in any way, shape or form, but it is still something where everyone's like, oh my god, you're about to turn 30. Well, next year. Have you done everything that you wanted to achieve before you turn 30? And I really would like to talk about the idea of what an adult actually is, because that's something, as I've become one, my perspective of what it means to be one has changed significantly. I think the biggest portion of it is that when I was growing up, there was this idea that once you're an adult, life is over. I think a lot of people actually had this idea, oh my god, once I turn 18, I'm gonna be so cool and I'm gonna have all the freedoms. And I'm not gonna lie, I never really saw it like that. I always was like, that sounds like I have to pay for my own food when I'm an adult. No. If you've watched my fandom video, you might have seen that my perspective on growing up and in general my entire experience growing up was very much influenced by fandom and thus youth culture. So there is just a lot of this perspective that I would have liked to have when I was much younger, because we're now in a time where we're very, very fortunate to have people who are 5 or 10 years older than us to be very active online and to share their opinions, their lives and their development with us. And it's really reassuring to see that a lot of those people who share their lives online experience their 30s to be kind of their prime. Especially when I look at my parents when they were my age, because obviously when we think about adulthood, we think about the adults we had in our lives growing up. And if I compare myself to my parents, like at my age, my mum had me already and was pregnant with my younger brother, and my dad, he's 2 years older than my mum, going back at 28, he met the love of his life, which is my mum. And I am very far away from finding the love of my life, unless in the next month there is an insane development. And I am also not pregnant or have a child, or quite frankly want one. If I look at myself 10 years ago and I think about who I thought I was going to be when I'm 28, I can promise you that I did not expect this. I was just learning English properly for the first time ever. Like, in German school, obviously you learn English from a very early age, but I was failing a lot. I was not good in school at all, and English was like my pitfall. But yeah, aside from like the tattoos, I did not expect for my life to go this way and to be in this position. I think part of me was pretty convinced I would be living in Berlin, which slightly off, but it's still a capital. When I was in the age range of 15 to 23, my perspective of who I was changed a lot, and sometimes within weeks. And just a little side note, if you're in that age group right now, I am very sorry. It gets better. I grew up in a very isolated area, and most people kind of picked what they were going to do for the rest of their lives at the age of 15, which at that age, you know what I wanted to be? I wanted to be a secretary, because that's what women do, and that's what seemed possible for me, you know? But can you fucking imagine me as a secretary? No shade to secretaries, great job, just not for me. In that specific age range, 15 to 23, I had about 1 million different dreams and about 1 million different jobs I wanted to do. I wanted to be a curator, I wanted to be a musician, I wanted to be a film director, I wanted to be a YouTuber. And don't get me wrong, none of these were not done with absolute conviction that this was me and that this was what I wanted to do with my life. And mind you, just because I am none of these things today doesn't take away any of the conviction with which I pursued these passions, these dreams. Not the secretary one, I think I didn't put a lot of effort into that one at all. this also doesn't mean that none of these are not worth pursuing or that I regret pursuing them, because at the end of the day, all of these convictions and all of these paths that I followed for a little bit at least, they led me to the path I am on right now, which I love what I'm doing. I am very, very happy and very, very lucky to be in this position where I get excited of what I'm doing.
Oh, that was just a phase.
Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed, but life is kind of just an accumulation of phases that you went through that defined who you are. And yes, sometimes you find very quickly who you are, and you do like maybe 3 phases, like baby, child, adult, and those are the 3 phases you go through, which, good for you if you're happy with that. Living in the 21st century allows us to be who we want to be at any given time and to express ourselves in ways that weren't even possible to consider just 30 years ago. And yeah, maybe you will hit the jackpot and immediately have figured out what you wanted in life and what makes you feel like yourself, you know? But that doesn't apply for everyone, and some of us go through, oh my god, so many phases. But isn't that kind of amazing that we get to go through life just dabbing our toes in all these different experiences and then cherry picking which one felt most like us? And I think the most important bit here is to talk about jobs and careers, because that's something that we kind of have to do in the capitalist society that we live in. But it also defines a lot of how we see ourselves and who we think to be, you know? For you to find a job that you can A, support yourself with, and B, spend the majority of your life doing without like hating yourself or your job or everyone around you, is so important, and sometimes we just completely forget about that.
But what if I change my mind? Am I not screwed if I just change career path?
No. Sometimes changing your path is just the way for you to go. Life is just an endless tapestry of phases, and one phase leads to another, and it just all builds upon each other. Similarly, if you change careers, you learn a lot in one career, and even though it might not be immediately obvious, sometimes you can apply those things in a new career. You wouldn't believe the amount of English literature stuff I get to use in my current STEM degree. What we forget a lot about is that we kind of have to find ourselves before we find ourselves a career. And trust me, finding yourself is the most corny thing I could be saying, but sometimes good advice is corny. You can always change careers or the environment that you live in, but you are kind of stuck with yourself, so might be worth figuring that out first before you dive head first into developing everything else in your life. And I have to say that yes, I have the incredible privilege of coming from a white middle class family that not blindly but generally supported my ideas and dreams and different paths in life, and I know that not everyone has that privilege. But for you to build towards it is something that's always worth pursuing. Sometimes it's not the right time to change career or environment or yourself, but it's something to work towards too. And yes, sometimes that means you don't get to spend most of your life living as your true self, but it means that you, at the end of the day, will be able to spend some of your life being yourself. As long as you have the opportunity to work towards it. This is the type of stuff that I wish someone taught me when I was 16 or even 14. It would have taken a lot of my mind, because I was convinced that picking the wrong course for my, I think in England it's the GCSEs, I thought my life would be over. I was so convinced that one decision was going to rule my entire life, but I think the most important lesson that I've learned growing up is that one choice doesn't determine who you are and what your life is going to be like unless you let it. Okay everyone, sorry for the insane lightning changes. This was very, very spontaneously recorded. but I appreciate if you stuck around. I hope you enjoyed the video and the insights that I have to provide. You might be thinking, why should I listen to this weirdo? You don't have to, and that's the beautiful part of it. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can just close the window. But if you did like what I'm saying, then I would appreciate a like button and subscribe button. And I'll see you next time, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye! My chair keeps moving against my will.